This video is to demonstrate the basic features of the Visualis3R software and how to navigate around the main system. So it's extremely simple. First of all, we're going to select a PDF file. And in this case, we're going to be working on a greeting card design that has a glitter layer. It has a metallic silver. Let's have a look what we've got. So we've got a Duplo, which is a 3D raised varnish. We've got a red foil. We've got a glitter layer. We've got CMYK and a silver. Now we can change the orientation and the movement of where all these layers are. We can move things up, down, to the top, to the bottom, and we can delete the layer. If it has a little warning triangle, it means the layer needs configuration. So we're going to do that now, and that's because my spot color is called glitter, but it doesn't know what color glitter is. It could be anything. So in this case, I'm going to match it to something. Now maybe it's going to be a grey glitter, like a silvery glitter. Maybe it's going to be golden. So I'm going to do this as gold. We can change the size of the glitter particles and the intensity. And I can then save that as a preset. So every layer has a control, so a set of controls that control it, and a color that will change the appearance of that layer itself. And you can save that as a default. So next time you want to work with it, say for example you import a file, it comes up with a warning, you go in here, click on Gold Glitter, and it's now set up for you. So you can save a library of all your different presets. The next one is the red foil. If you wanted to, you could maybe see what it looks like as different colored foils. So you might think, oh, actually, it looks pretty good with a bronze foil. I know it says red foil because that's my separation name, but it allows you to really just have a little play around and think about it. But for now, let's just put it back to red. The layer has the option to put texture. So if we zoom right in, you'll see on that foil layer, if you look at the foil, it's going from textured to not, so some of the foils have a little bit of texture to it. Metalness is kind of like the greyness that comes through from the metal material, or the foil. Some of them are more opaque colorings inside them, some of them are more silvery. And then the reflection is how basically shiny the material is. You can also reset to default, so if you do make a little play around with this and you think, oh god, what have I done? You can just reset to defaults and it will put it back for you. You can also put on hot foil stamping, which puts like a little embossed edge on it to simulate how embossing works. The glitter we've done, the silver, obviously in here you could have the same kind of controls. We can change the opacity because some of the silvers print a little bit more translucent. Some of the digital machines print slightly weaker silver on the first pass, but you can actually ramp up the color to like a +1, +2, +3, so you can kind of like match that. You can change the metalness, the roughness, the reflections, etc., and you can also put on some of this metallic flakiness, this glittery kind of effect into the silver. And then we have that Duplo effect on there. Maybe we want to see what it looks like as a flat varnish. Maybe we want to see it as a sculptured varnish. We can play around with the bevel on that and everything else. So you get the idea. Really easy to be able to modify and change any one of these layers. Now below that we then have the substrate controls. This is being printed at the moment onto a gloss-coated paper. Maybe we'll print it onto uncoated. Well, uncoated paper has a slight ink absorption. So if you look at this colour in the background and the red up here, etc., where it's basically the CMYK design, if we switch between gloss-coated, you'll notice that there's more colour on the gloss-coated than the uncoated because you get some of that ink absorption. So you can actually compensate that by playing around with the slider. Obviously, you can go completely desaturated. But really just to like try and match like an uncoated type material. We then have foil substrate, so maybe I'm printing directly onto foil. In this case we're not. Clear material, if we switch off the environmental controls, let's go to indoor, you'll see that the material is now clear, you can see through it. Obviously we're not going to print onto clear. We could print onto a rainbow holographic. So now we've got rainbow holographic coming through, and again a multitude of different sliders. Do pay attention to our other tutorial videos that explains about how to control all these different types of substrates and layers, the glitters, brushed metal, plastics. So there's a whole range of different things, but the main thing that I wanted to show you is that you can always reset to default and it will always take you back to the gloss coated. Same with all of these. If I wanted to go back to my default, maybe I've played around with them and think, what did I do? I've kind of messed it up. I don't know what it was set at before. Just reset to defaults, and then you can always just put your flake back in if you need to. So that's basically the color separations controls and the substrate controls. You do have environmental controls, so basically we can rotate the rotation of the room, so you'll notice that the lighting is changing. by the room moving. We can move the plane up and down, left and right. But you can control that with your keyboard as well. So if you hold down the space key, I can freely move it anywhere I want. If I hold down the option key, I can pan on the yaw, which is the Y axis. You can basically pan on the X axis by holding down the shift key. I can zoom in and out with my mouse. I've got like a rotation wheel on my mouse. I can freely move by just clicking and rotating around. So you've got a whole range of things. Maybe I want to design a file like this. Maybe I want to change the yaw position, get it kind of like that, and maybe I want something like that to be put on my website. You can do it to capture it and make your own little mock-ups. So that's that one. You also have an option to increase resolution. So any PDF that we're going to do, this one doesn't need it because it's quite a large PDF file. But if you had a file with like a lot of fine line details or small text, you can increase the resolution and you get a higher output. Bear in mind that if you are using the higher resolution output, your sliders will change because of the resolution quality. So your depth sliders and everything react slightly differently. At the moment, I can like move my yaw position around, so I'm kind of like weirdly off center. We can always go down here and click the reset button. So reset view will put it back to the straight portrait view and put that back. UV invisible, if you've got a file with invisible inks, you can switch on the UV light and it'll glow the invisible separations. We don't have that on this file, so we don't need to. We can image capture, we can do an image recording, so watch for videos for all of these different features. Down at the bottom we can click on support and that will open up a web browser. It will take you to our website where you can fill out a contact form just like that. So for technical support you can go in there. Let's just jump back into the app. You can go to the training section, so that will take you to the training sections with all these videos, which is where you should be at the moment. Moving over to the top right of the screen, we have a settings box. So this allows you to be able to put in your logo and some information. So you can click on upload logo. I've already done mine, so I'm just going to click on show. So show logo in the capture or in the movie. We've got some text and we've got the date. So maybe this file is birthday card v1.2 that I'm sending to my customer, and I can capture that information. Or maybe you want it to be something more generic like Visualis3R copyright 2025. So you've got some of your copyright information on there. So you can do that. You can change the color of it. So if you had your environmental controls changed, so this is something to show you. We have indoor environments, so you can basically look at it with you. Some people like looking at it with the background. I prefer it with just the grey. If I toggle this to outdoor, I can look at the file outdoors and lighting changes completely outdoors, which is different to indoors. If I now move that back to grey, I've now got my outdoor lighting but with a grey overlay. So if I want my indoor lighting with a grey overlay, I need to go to indoor and then switch on grey. So basically the grey just puts a colour, a flat colour over the top. Now maybe I decide I want to have a white background when I'm doing my video. So image capture does a transparent PNG, so it doesn't matter what the background colour is. But if I'm doing a video, maybe I want it just to be a white flat background, in which case I now capture it now, my white text can't be seen. So in the settings we could actually change that over to like black. Maybe we want the date to be maybe red, whatever it is. So you can fine tune, mix and match, switch them on, switch them off. So that's what the setting is. But like I said, I normally like working in grey. It's a neutral colour, it doesn't contaminate your design, and it's better for working. It's a traditional kind of pre-press light box kind of viewing, but the lighting is still retained. So that's how we control things. We can move lighting up and down, fine tune where we want it. Maybe we decided that we've got our silver done, let's just reduce that flake size down, maybe the intensity down a little bit. Maybe I want to then move my lighting up a little fraction just to get my shading right. Maybe my varnish layer, let's just say my reflection's not quite as intense. Maybe the gloss level's not quite as intense, whatever it is. So whatever you've got, you fine-tune to whatever materials you're trying to match to. Once you've done it, then you can do your image capture. So then you could take that there and you could put it onto your website if you're selling greeting cards, and you can then see and show the effect of what you're actually producing. Just a great way to be able to, you know, see the effect of your designs. It's a great way to be able to communicate it to your customers, and it's also great for doing capturing. You know, you could put things like onto a bottle, like a label. You could do a capture of a label, stick it onto the side of a bottle. So that's the quick overview of how everything works. So environmental controls, select a PDF, color separations, and substrate controls. So it's not difficult. It should be a very easy system to use. You would use our swatch palette. So you'll be able to download the swatch palette from the Visualis3R website. That will have all the pre-defined names, things like orange, green, blue, red, violet, metallic silver, metallic gold, Duplo, Scodex. All the main namings will be grouped and separated out, so basically you'll be able to use your preferred. And just to give you an example, varnish is a common terminology for something in the industry, but depending on which country you're in, they call it different things. Some people call it a spot coating, some call it a UV coating, some call it just coating, some call it varnish, some call it sculptured varnish, some call it Duplo or Scodex. So we've built in all those different ones. So provided you use one of our predefined settings, you'll be fine. So there we go. If you do have any questions on how to use a tool, if you ever spot any bugs in it, then obviously please do contact us for assistance. We can always guide you through. If you are looking for assistance on a file, it is always best if you send us the PDF file, and then we can review it, and we can make a support tutorial video and send it back to you if there's something that we find that's either right or wrong, or maybe you're doing something slightly wrong, or maybe there's a bug in the software that we need to address. As always, technical support is free. Upgrades is free, updates for the system is free, provided you're in your subscription period. So basically, it doesn't cost you to get any of the updates or ask for help. Okay, so that's a quick rundown on the Visualis3R software, also known as V3R.